$34.17. That is your cashback reward this month. You feel good about this. Somewhere in Delaware, a card issuer recorded $847 million in interest income this quarter. Your $34.17 came from that number. You have been a profitable customer since the day the card arrived. You have also been a satisfied customer. The two things are not in conflict. That is the product. Before you understand the card, you need to understand what happens in the 2 seconds between you tapping your card and the transaction completing. Those 2 seconds are not administrative, they are financial. A negotiation occurs, silently, in real time, between your bank, the card network, and the merchant's bank. The negotiation has a predetermined outcome. You are not one of the parties. Every time you use a credit card, the merchant pays a fee to process the transaction. The fee is called the interchange rate. It ranges between 1.5% and 3.5% of the transaction amount, depending on the card type, the merchant category, and the network. On a $47 restaurant bill, the restaurant pays between 70 cents and $1.65 before keeping any of it. On a $312 hotel booking, the hotel pays between $4.68 and $10.92. The customer pays nothing visible. The fee is invisible because it is built into the price of everything. This is the first thing to understand. The interchange fee does not come from the card company, it comes from the merchant. And the merchant recovers it. The only way a merchant can recover a cost by building it into their prices, which means you pay it, not as a card fee. As the cost of a $47 meal, that would be $45.60 if everyone paid cash. The interchange revenue for the 4 major card networks in the United States last year was approximately $163 billion. Not profit revenue from interchange alone, before interest, before annual fees, before late charges, before any other income source the card company operates. $163 billion, extracted 1.5 to 3.5% at a time. From every transaction, every day, invisible to everyone paying it. The cash user pays this too. When you buy groceries with cash at a store that also accepts credit cards, the price you pay reflects the average cost of accepting all payment methods, including the cards you did not use. The interchange system transfers wealth from cash users and debit users to credit card users in the form of rewards and transfers wealth from all consumers to card issuers in the form of fees they never see. The network earns. The issuing bank earns, the acquiring bank earns, the merchant absorbs, the customer funds it without knowing they are funding it. That is layer 1. It has been operating this way since 1958. The interchange fee is not paid by the cardholder. It is paid by the merchant. And then it is paid by the cardholder. It is just paid twice, in 2 different registers, in a way that makes the second payment invisible. The second revenue stream is the one that funds the first, $4,214. That is the average credit card balance carried by American cardholders who do not pay in full each month. Approximately 47% of all cardholders carry a balance. That is not a minority. That is nearly half the people who hold the product. The product was designed with this in mind. When you carry a balance, the card company charges interest. The average annual percentage rate on a revolving credit card balance in the United States is currently 24.99%, not 25. 24.99, because 25 is a number that sounds like a round ceiling, and 24.99 sounds like a specific rate that was calculated for a reason. The reason is that it is below the ceiling of what behavioral economists determined would cause cardholders to pay off and close the account. 24.99 is in the zone of pain that does not produce action. Here is the mathematics of $4,214 at 24.99% annual interest, making only the minimum payment each month. The minimum payment on a balance of this size is typically set at approximately 1% of the balance plus the monthly interest charge in this case, roughly $111.40 per month. If you make only that payment every month without adding to the balance, you will pay off the debt in 247 months. That is 20 years and 7 months. Over that period, you will pay $8,431 in interest. You borrowed $4,214. You will return $12,645. The minimum payment is not set at 1% because 1% is a reasonable repayment schedule. It is set at 1% because internal modeling determined that 1% is the payment amount most likely to keep a cardholder in revolving status indefinitely, paying enough to feel like progress, not enough to make it. The card company earns interest for every month you remain in revolving status. The minimum payment is the mechanism that maximizes the duration of that status. This is disclosed. It is disclosed in the Schumer box, the standardized disclosure table that appears on every card application and every statement. The Schumer box tells you the rate. It tells you the minimum payment. It does not tell you the 247 months. It does not tell you the $8,431. It gives you the inputs. It does not run the calculation. The calculation is your responsibility. Most people do not run the calculation. The card company knows most people do not run the calculation. The product is designed around the assumption that most people do not run the calculation. This is not illegal. It is the architecture of a system that depends on a specific kind of financial innumeracy to function at scale. The interest income from revolving balances accounts for approximately 73% of total card company revenue. The interchange fee is significant. The interest income is the business. The interchange fee is the acquisition cost for the customer who becomes a revolving borrower. Some customers never carry a balance. They are called transactors. They generate interchange revenue and cost the card company approximately $12 per account per year in operational overhead. They are marginally profitable. The revolving borrower, the person carrying $4,214 at 24.99%, generates between $680 and $1,100 in annual net revenue per account. The card company needs approximately 1 revolving borrower for every 9 transactors to maintain its margin targets. You may be a transactor. You may be a revolver. The card company already knows which one you are. It has known since your third statement. The minimum payment is not a kindness. It is the most profitable number the company can print on your statement. It is calibrated to the exact point where you feel like you are making progress without actually making progress. That calibration is not accidental. It is the product. Now consider the $34.17. You earned it. The reward is real. It represents approximately 1.2% of your spending on that card this month, returned to you in cash. The card company budgets approximately 1.2% of interchange revenue per transaction for rewards redemption. The interchange rate it collects on your transactions averages 2.4%. The spread 1.2% funds operations, fraud losses, customer acquisition, and profit margin. The rewards cost the company less than half of what the transaction generates. Every time you earn a reward, you are receiving a fraction of what your transaction produced for the issuer. The rewards program serves 3 functions that are not the same as what you believe it serves. The first function is retention. A cardholder with accumulated unredeemed points is significantly less likely to close the account than a cardholder with no points balance. The points represent a liability on the card company's balance sheet, a future obligation to pay you back, and simultaneously represent a retention mechanism that costs them money only when you leave. The longer you stay, the more interchange they collect. The points are the cost of keeping you generating interchange. The second function is spend stimulation. Research across the major issuers consistently shows that cardholders with active rewards programs spend between 18 and 23% more on their card than cardholders without rewards. Controlling for income and credit profile. The reward is a psychological incentive to prefer the card over cash or debit for transactions, where the reward creates a perceptible gain. The card company earns interchange on every additional transaction that preference produces. The 1.2% reward cost generates a spending increase worth significantly more than 1.2% in additional interchange. The third function is the most structurally significant. Premium rewards cards, the ones offering 2 and 3% cashback, airline miles, hotel points, lounge access charge, higher annual fees, and carry higher interchange rates. The premium rate is made possible because the premium card is used by higher income, higher spending cardholders whose transactions are more valuable to merchants. The merchants pay the higher interchange because their customers demand the card. The customers receive better rewards because the merchants pay more. The economics of this cycle flow from merchants and lower-income consumers toward the premium cardholder, who receives the most valuable rewards, funded by the system around them. A 2014 study by the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston estimated that the credit card reward system transfers approximately $1,133 per year from low-income households to high-income households through the interchange mechanism. The transfer is not direct, it is structural. It happens in the pricing of goods that everyone buys and in the rewards that only certain cardholders receive. You are receiving $34.17 this month. Someone who shops at the same stores as you, using cash or a no-rewards debit card, is paying the same prices as you. They receive no $34.17. They funded a portion of it. The reward is real. The reward is also a transfer. Both things are true simultaneously. The product was designed for both things to be true simultaneously. The rewards program is not a gift. It is a retention mechanism, a spend stimulator, and a transfer of value from cash users and low-income consumers to premium cardholders operating simultaneously, by design, within a single transaction. The $34.17 is real. So is the architecture that produced it. The fourth layer is the one that makes all the others permanent. Your credit score is presented to you as a measure of financial health. It is presented this way by credit bureaus, by financial advisors, by the card companies themselves. A high credit score is described as evidence of responsible financial behavior. A low credit score is described as evidence of financial irresponsibility. This framing is not neutral. It is the framing that benefits the institutions that created the scoring system and that rely on consumer behavior being oriented around maintaining and improving the score. The FICO score, used in approximately 90% of lending decisions in the United States, is calculated from 5 factors. Payment history accounts for 35%. Amounts owed accounts for 30%. The amounts owed category includes a variable called credit utilization ratio, the percentage of your available credit limit that you are currently using. The optimal utilization ratio for your credit score is below 30%. Below 10% produces marginally better results. Consider what this means in practice. You have a card with a $4,000 limit. To optimize your credit score, you should carry a balance of no more than $1,200, ideally below $400. You should use the card regularly. Payment history requires an active account. You should not close the card. The length of credit history factor rewards, keeping accounts open, and closing an old account raises your utilization ratio by removing available credit. You should not open too many new accounts. Hard inquiries reduce the score temporarily. Every behavior that the credit score rewards is a behavior that benefits the card issuer. Using the card regularly generates interchange. Keeping the card open indefinitely maintains the relationship. Maintaining a balance below 30% keeps you in the zone where you are likely to carry a revolving balance occasionally without being so over-leveraged that you default. The credit score does not reward paying all balances to zero and using only debit. That behavior produces a good score, but it also produces the minimum revenue for the issuer. The score was not designed by card companies. It was designed by Fair Isaac Corporation in 1989. But the behaviors it incentivizes and the behaviors that generate maximum revenue for card issuers are not in conflict. They are largely the same behaviors. A system that incentivizes regular card use, maintained open accounts, and partial balances described as responsible financial behavior is a system that produces optimal revenue for the institutions that issue the cards. The alignment is not a conspiracy. It is an equilibrium that emerged because the scoring system was built around the data that lenders wanted, and the data that lenders wanted was the data that predicted continued borrowing rather than the data that predicted financial independence from borrowing. You check your score. It has gone up 3 points. You feel good about this. You opened a credit card. You used it responsibly. You did not close it. You kept the utilization below 30%. Every step you took to improve your score was a step that generated interchange and kept you as an active account. The score improved because you did what the system needed you to do. The system rewarded you with a number that told you that you were doing the right thing. You were doing the right thing. You were also doing exactly what the architecture required. The credit score does not measure financial health. It measures the behaviors that make you a reliable and recurring source of revenue for lenders. Those two things overlap enough that most people never notice the difference. The overlap is the product. $34.17. The notification is still there. The number has not changed. What has changed is the architecture visible underneath it. The $34.17 was funded by interchange fees collected from merchants who built them into the prices you paid. A portion of it was funded by the revolving balances of cardholders who will spend the next 20 years paying back a debt that grew while they were sleeping. A portion of it was funded by cash users and debit users who paid the same prices as you and received no reward in return. The credit score system encouraged you to keep the card open and use it regularly, which continued generating interchange, which continued funding the next month's $34.17. None of this is hidden. The interchange rate is disclosed in the merchant service agreement. The minimum payment calculation is disclosed in the Schumer box. The rewards program terms are disclosed in the cardholder agreement. The credit score methodology is published by Fair Isaac Corporation and available to anyone who looks for it. Everything is disclosed. Nothing is explained. The architecture is available for inspection. Almost no one inspects it. Almost no one inspects it because the product is designed so that inspection is not required. The reward arrives. The satisfaction is genuine. The credit score goes up. The statement is paid on time. Every signal the system sends tells you that you are doing it correctly. You are doing it correctly. You are also doing exactly what the system needs you to do. Both of these things are true, and the system was built to make them feel like one thing. $130 billion a year. Interchange, interest, fees. The credit score that keeps you engaged. The rewards that keep you using the card. The minimum payment that keeps you revolving. 4 layers operating simultaneously, invisible at the point of transaction, disclosed in documents almost no one reads, producing $130 billion a year from 160 million people who feel, for the most part, like satisfied customers. The card company did not trick you. It gave you exactly what it promised. It just never explained the architecture underneath the promise. And the architecture was never the product. The product was the $34.17. The architecture was just how they paid for it.